Is there any better place to go and finish a championship? You put yourself on tight, twisty roads. You hope that you can just hold on around these 11 corners, lap after lap after lap. This is Long Beach, a circuit which has its own unique characteristic and one of those few circuits in iRacing which every driver looks at on the calendar and just has a small shiver down the back of their spine. We are now getting set for this final round of your classic Lotus Grand Prix here. It's Sunday, and you know what that means with us on the Global SimRacing Channel. My name is Jake Sperry. Alongside with me for the ride today is Joey Atterbury, with Christian Deploy in the director's chair being guided by Daniel Costello. He's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But to a circuit here in California in the long sprawl that connects itself, of course, over to the glitz and glamour of Los Angeles. But here, right on the coast at the Long Beach dock, we're going to get a little bit of a talk about what this circuit means and why it's so important. Tune in. This is our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead.
It's a circuit like no other here, Joey, and when you get around these turns, you are just sat waiting for disaster to find itself.
It's an interesting circuit when you think about American street courses. Long Beach probably at the top of the list, if not one of the top few. First opened back in the 70s. It's gone through a couple different iterations, and this one that we are racing here in iRacing, 11 turns. Turn number 1, probably your best passing opportunity as it is the biggest brake zone, but watch out for that 2-3 section. That is the Fountain Complex, and on the opening lap, it gets way overly crowded. And then turn number 6 down there, always an interesting setup corner over the crest of that short chute straightaway between 6 and 8 there. You can easily find the driver's tire wall on the exit of turn 8 on driver's left-hand side as well. Then down that back straightaway to the other iconic corner here at Long Beach. Turn number 11, that's right, folks, that hairpin down at the end of that track map. You better be single file here in these Lotus 79 cars. Too wide does not work very well without cooperation. It is tight, it is a funnel effect, and you better get the power down coming out.
Yeah, you got to keep your eyes open and peeled heading along East Shoreline Drive, knowing that you've got that opportunity to make that big long lunge into the opening corner and give yourself the best chance to overtake out on the circuit. In terms of a championship, though, it looks pretty secure under lock and key with the way that the drop rounds have all featured. Andreas Henkel, 48 points to the good over Pauli Partanen, with Togo Hesada nearly 200 points adrift then in 3rd position. It's then Jono Fritzsche in 4th ahead of Ross Banfield after his victory last time out. Mikko Leno finds himself in 6th with Michael de Turk 7th. It's then Nick Thyssen and Kimmo Villiakainen in 8th and 9th, with Jacob Reed rounding out the top 10 of a star-studded field here in this series. But when it comes to F2, those drivers that have a little bit less I-rating, Joey, that is still a very interesting championship. It doesn't get much closer than this.
Right now, Ryan Turcotte, like you said, is only a single point, not much separating him and Philip Coonhart for second place. And then a little bit of a gap back to Mike Christopher Jr. But look at, again, it tightens up between those three drivers. Only 6 points separating Mike, Matt Cockrum, and also Thomas Silbernagel. Josephine Becker sitting here in 6th place with Yanni Lehman in 7th. And then rounding out the top 10 is also a 2-point battle between these three drivers. Miguel Morling, Luke Raspudik, and Mark Sebastian. A very close couple battles here in the F2 Championship.
And the one thing that has to be noted is that Ryan Turcotte is not here, so it might be a free hit at the championship for Philip Coonhart wherever he finishes. Parmalat have pretty much got it wrapped up in terms of the team's championship. Journo Fritzsche and Russell Hamilton doing a great job together. McLaren find themselves second with the Vorsteiner Arrows, 195 points down the road. They're in a big scrap with the Ligier-Gitanes team of Paul Williams and Keith Herner, so we'll see what Keith is able to do to make his progress. Then Surtees in 5th ahead of the Volta Wolf team in 6th position. Tissot Ensign are 7th along with TVR Racing, the solo effort of Dylan Freckleton. John Player Special Team Lotus in 9th, and the Scuderia Ferrari team round out the top 10 of the team's standing. So that's how they've all been able to navigate through with their team's efforts. But in terms of this race, Joey, this is a 29-lap race that we're sitting on today. So they've got a lot of laps that they've got to try and uncork.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick lap around here, about 1:10 or so. And like you said, it is the final round of this season here. Round 12 of 12, 29 laps, an open setup. And folks, if you've seen the social media posts, if you've seen the Reddit posts, go join the Discord, join the community. Everybody wants to see these crowds grow, the grids grow. They hand out the fast setups every single week. So if you're worried about not having the fast setup, guess what? They give them away. So go join this group. It is a ton of fun. No spare cars. So if you pick up any damage out there, you'll have to deal with it. Drive-through penalty at 17 incident points and a disqualification at 25 incident points. I don't think we'll see that here, Jake. Way too many walls for those incident point limits.
Absolutely. I think we are going to be seeing more retirements than instant point troubles out there on track. We are currently in the midst of qualifying here. They've got the 8 minutes, of course, to set their 2 qualifying laps in. And Pauli Partanen is currently on top as it stands on a 110.468. Journo Fritzsche abandoning then that second lap as Jakob Oberslack comes over the line with a 111.8 on his second lap. That puts him up to 20th position. So he will, at the moment, put himself on the 10th row of the grid. Barry West is currently out there on circuit, and he's trying to get his second lap in the books. Everybody loves Barry West. Even Barry West loves Barry West. But he's down in 28th at the moment, and that's the one thing he won't be loving.
We've nicknamed him the Big Cat here on GSRC. Unfortunately, he doesn't rock that livery anymore, but always gives us these awesome in-sim camera shots. You see Barry rocking the virtual reality as well as the H-pattern shifter, really leaning into these corners. The reason why I love watching virtual reality is because it's just like having a helmet on your head. The drivers actually look to the right if they got a right-hand corner. They look to the left. They kind of lead with their head. It is just like real life.
Yeah, you can see how much work he's having to put into each and every corner. There's a little bit of movement as he looks to sit it in. He goes one hand through the final hairpin, one of the tightest corners in all of iRacing, and over towards the line goes Barry West, and that is a 113.590. So a 12.4 as he crosses the line. It's a little bit of a later line. So he goes 26th position with that lap time. And just looking around, I think that's everybody done with a minute to go here in qualifying. So this grid is going to be sat and ready for racing action, and it is car number 2 who is up at the top of your order then here, ladies and gentlemen. Pauli Partanen gets himself there to the front, 110.468, and it will be Mikko Leino who'll be alongside him for company then on that front row. Togo Hesada and JD Rodriguez will then house themselves on that second row. About 0.4 of a second back is Rodriguez, with Kimmo Villiakainen in 5th, and a good qualifying from Dylan Freckleton, who is in the 6th position. Journo Fritzsche will line up 7th, says that he's got a love-hate relationship a little bit with this circuit. He hates it, but he's someone who also seems to find a little bit of help out there sometimes around this track, but going from P7 here today alongside Alexander Matei in the number 25 car, which shows you just how good of an effort it is. We will be bringing up that qualifying order just as soon as the grid ticks over in towards that race session, because you'll have Nick Thyssen, the Classics man, in 9th position on the grid in the number 5, and Javier Mosquera, who was thinking, oh, I didn't want to be up inside that top 10. What am I doing third? Well, he's been knocked down from 3rd over those second qualifying laps down to 10th on his 111.3.
There you see that front 5 rows, a 110.4, setting that pole position off to 11th place. We've got Daniel Kranifus, and then in 12th is Don Decker back here. 13th is Tyler Green. Row 7 was rounded out by Peter Konechny in 14th place. Philip Kuhnhart in 15th with Hans Sommer in 16th. Yanni Lehman starting 17th with Dave Rutenbeek in 18th. Shady Ahmad 19th, and Daniel Gallus rounding out our top 20.
It's a 31-car field here today, so Jakob Oberslack has just kicked off of the top 20. He's down in 21st with Gabri Martinez in 22nd. It's then Kevin Parrish and Olivier Verhagen, who is a little bit down the order in the number 21 car. Alex Marsh King will house himself on row 13. He's got Barry West for company, the Big Cat, with Keith Herner in 27th and Logan Edwards in 28th. The last car to set a time was John Pethick, who will go with a 114.1, meaning Jack David Spickett, with the fact that he's got a higher I rating than Alejandro Diaz, will find himself then on row 15 rather than row number 16 overall. But this is going to be one of the toughest races they'll have, and they've saved it right to the end of the calendar. Watch out if this track does jam through the opening couple of corners. It's very easy to trip over around here, especially when it comes to open wheel. It housed Formula One for over a decade into the 70s and the 80s. This has been the home of IndyCar over a few seasons back in the mid-2000s, and a track which always commands the respect of everybody here. So for Pauli Partonen on the front with his compatriot Mikko Lehno behind him, Togo Hesada, who's trying to defend his championship position over Jerno Fritzsche for 3rd overall. This is where good racing comes to play. The green flag drops and we're underway. A shocker from JD Rodriguez, and he gets swarmed by Vilja Kainen, who now looks to go for 3rd as they make that run over towards turn 2. Out on track, Lehno goes slightly defensive, which gives Vilja Kainen the launch around the outside to move him up into P3, and as they now look to try and tiptoe through the opening section, they hit the fountain for the first time. Everybody managing to make their way through, trying to preserve themselves in these very difficult stages, but round the aquarium they go and back onto the West Line Drive. One car spun around then already out there as they all try and avoid.
I think that was Matei back there, the number 25 car that got spun around. And the opening lap here at Long Beach is just so treacherous. It is so busy. It doesn't matter what corner you're on. Of course, the fountain section always busy. I also noticed JD Rodriguez in that Ferraman car. An excellent move going into the fountain to overtake Togo Asada.
Yeah, that was a lovely move, and it's very great to see that happen as Nick Thyssen here in 8th position starts looking behind him, because that's Dan Decker, who has made up 3 spots on the opening lap and is looking for a 4th. Into the hairpin then for the first time, and how do you get your drive off of the exit here? You can see just how much you have to deal with the bumps around here and the torque that goes through those rear tyres. You've got to make sure that you're planted on the throttle as you charge. A second already for Pauli Partonen at the front of this field. Lehno looking behind at Vilja Kainen, but Dan Decker not quite close enough here to the group of Nick Thyssen and Jerno Fritzsche.
You'd mentioned those tires. Remember, folks, these are the brand new tires from iRacing, so they do take a little bit to get up to temp, and Decker was looking down the inside of Thyssen, and thankfully Nick left a lane open. Oh, and now Don jumps up over those apex curbs. That's definitely going to cost him a little bit of track position, but I was going to say about 2 laps is what it takes for these tires to really get fully up to temperature and pressure. They got plenty of grip on the opening lap, but you always want a little bit more.
You always do. At turn 5, it's off camber going through there, so it's very easy to try and attack and be aggressive with the curbs and find yourself turning around. Wrong place, wrong time. Philip Kuhnhart then going for the F2 title here. Looks at Dave Ruitenbeek for position, and Reutenbeek holding that outside line, left the space each and every way through, but just about keeping things in perspective then as he starts to lose contact with Tyler Green in front. 11.4, fastest lap of the race for Pauli Partanen, but for now, Philipp Kühnhardt is the driver chasing, with Martinez, with Sommer, with Konechny, with Lehmann and Shadi Ahmad, all on the back there in 19th.
See Reutenbeek going defensive here into turn number 1, just kind of dissuading Kühnhardt to kind of throw it down the inside here, and over the opening 2 laps here, Jake, we haven't seen any incidents out of the hairpin, but there have been a couple cars that have really flirted with that inside apex wall. Remember, these Lotus 79s, especially on the back end, they're very, very wide as Decker finally tries to make that pass, but it ends in the tire wall, unfortunately, with Nick Thyssen.
3 wheels on my wagon for Nick Thyssen. Dan Decker aggressive down the inside, side-to-side contact, both of them not able to make it, and both of them out of the race. If you break your car, you bought it, and that was a massive, massive shunt to trying to make his way over onto TK Avenue. That was definitely not the way that you wanted that to go on lap 3. Everybody else jump up a couple places then behind them, but for Togo Hesada and co, it's now about progress to try and go through. You've also got John Pethick, who's a lap down already in the early stages, but Hesada back in 5th, needs to find a way back past JD Rodriguez in 4th position. We'll take another look here. This is Matei on the opening lap, so he's down the inside. Cold Tires just loops it on the inside.
So unfortunate for Alex Matei there, and, you know, a great avoidance from everybody else. Look, I mean, he's perpendicular in the middle of the racetrack, but he did a great job not to grab a gear or go in reverse there. Let the whole field go by, and I'm sure that he's breathing a sigh of relief that he's got a car still.
Yes, and being still in this race is very crucial, because if you're out the race, it's quite simple. You're out the race. So he's got a chance now to recover and gain those points, and Villiakainen now starting to struggle. So Rodriguez now is bringing himself back in here to the fin in the Raccoon Racing car and going through turn 9, in through at turn 10, which is set up. We take a look at Villiakainen here and what he gets to see behind him as he now starts to try and put the power down. Look at how much squeal there is off the back of Rodriguez. He's got to be very careful about how early he puts the power down, because you then just build that margin. This is where the slipstream comes and builds it back, but they're on the highest downforce specs they can. Only 265 on the straight in towards the opening corner. They're prioritizing that mechanical grip today.
We always talk about Togo Hesada being, you know, the champ over in Lotus 49s. It looks like Tyler Green makes that move on Mascara in turn number 1, but I think that Togo has really kind of focused more on the 79s here this season, and you really got to see his kind of progression as a driver. I wouldn't expect to kind of keep him in 5th place for very long. I'd expect to see him move up towards the podium as this race goes on.
Well, he's trying to move up towards the podium. Tyler Green here doesn't quite have a criminal mind, so to speak, but at least for the moment, he's got through on the Persona 3 entry car of Javier Mosquera, and with Daniel Kranafus there behind, it's certainly a good move. Now, Hesada again, just having a look here on the back of Rodriguez, but not really able to do anything too untoward making this pass. This is very much a tough scenario for Hesada to be in, because he's clearly got pace. We know he's got pace from the way he qualified, but you got to try and find a move here around Long Beach, and if it's not too untowards for many drivers, it's few and far between that you see them. Here comes Rodriguez. This is probably the best place to get it done. You have to go around the outside of turn 1. If he can hold it on that outside, he would have had the inside going in towards the fountain where he could have secured the move off, but ultimately he gets cut off, and Villiakainen, knowing just how wide his car is, maintains position.
JD Rodriguez, like I said, oh, there he goes, jumping over the curb. Huge loose moment. That's going to allow Togo Hesada through into that 4th place position. I even see Dylan Freckleton in that purple machine starting to close it in on this battle as well. Had one heck of a lap time that previous lap. So a little bit of a mistake out of that black and red. Number 8 slips him back into 5th.
It's so easy to make that mistake. We've seen drivers today catching the curb as they went over at turn 5, and that has meant that a driver like JD Rodriguez, for example, here, who's dropped that place, now has to try and find a way to gain that back. The issue that he's running into here is the same one that Hesada will find, that he's going to struggle to put that power down, and I'd love to see a comparison of lap time here between Villiers-Kynen and Dylan Freckleton behind. Villiers-Kynen crosses the line, does a 1:12 flat, and behind that, Dylan Freckleton, 11:9. So he pulled in a 10th, but he's stuck at about 1.4 seconds here and would love to be a little bit closer to bring himself into this group. Charging through the opening corners, the front two have cleared off to the tune of 2.5 seconds and 5 seconds down the road. So for Villiers-Kynen, this is just about maintaining that final spot on the podium. You can see the difference there for JD Rodriguez on that last lap. Lost himself about a second as Yanni Lehmann now finds himself side by side, and there's the contact. Into the tyre barriers goes Shadi Ahmad, and now they junk up here in the middle of the group into the wall when Jack David Spickett, and around once more is going to go even more troubles. That's Logan Edwards.
You got a feel for the 29 here of Yanni Lehmann. I think he was just trying to get out of the way, but ended up being in the way and collecting more cars. Here comes Hasada down the back straightaway. He's going to make a lunge. Contact between him and Villiers-Kynen. Kimmo ends up in the wall with Togo up into third place, and now Villiers-Kynen's under threat for what is fourth place. I think Rodriguez is going to take that away from him as well. He's got a damaged car and went from third to fifth in a couple corners.
Well, immediately on the radio, Togo Hasada apologised, and I think Villiers-Kynen's just acknowledging that on the radio, that he's not too pleased about that happening. But Togo has redressed the position back because he got down the inside but slid out there. So good sportsmanship by Togo Hasada. The one issue he's got with that, though, they have just allowed JD Rodriguez now into third position. So at that point, Togo Hasada's trying to commit to the corner. You've got to be committed to make a move here at Long Beach. It's a street circuit. That's just the style of how you've got to make the passes. What you're going to run into, though, is, well, now what do you do? Now where do you find those passes? And with the damage potentially to the left-hand side, Villiers-Kynen doesn't have the black and orange mechanical flag, but he is missing an entire side pod on the left-hand side.
Yeah, you called it. He's got heavy damage in terms of the bodywork on the right-hand side. I'm not sure if the car is even driving straight. I expect Hasada to get down to the inside here. Just use that slipstream. He's got more power, more aero right now. Just the car is more efficient. And actually, Kimmo Villiers-Kynen gave him a little bit of a nudge there on that left rear tire as well. I think Togo was trying to be nice and pass him easily, but actually ended up tripping Kimmo Villiers-Kynen. I don't think that Togo is probably going to be Kimmo's best friend after this one.
No, I think that Christmas card lists are going to have to start being changed or the like, so that's not going to be helpful out there. So cars in the pits then, right now, Alex Marsh-King, Alexander Matei, Logan Edwards, Shadi Ahmad, and Yanni Lehmann all in the pits. That's 5 cars in trouble out there at the moment. This is what happened to Matei, so a secondary incident. Car catches the wall in front. That's a weird one. He just loops himself up over the top of his rear wheel.
And thankfully he hit that reset button. Unfortunately, did King also get involved? I wonder if the car just wasn't completely gone at that point. Matei couldn't do anything about it. It almost seemed like Netcode grabbed that car from the tire wall and brought in Alex as well.
There's not much you can do if you're Alex Marsh-King. You were sidled into a position chasing down a pavement if your name was Adele, so that was tough. But Villiers-Kynen now is in through the ring, and Reutenbeek also trying to get himself involved here. Look at that for a bit of a scrap. Philip Kuhnhart now getting his move, but watch out, because here comes Gabri Martinez on the outside, looking for a way around, and if he can just hold himself in play, no, he lifts out of it, that's going to cost him, and it might actually cost him another, but he just holds Reutenbeek into position. So wonderful stuff then on the battle, but Kuhnhart is making great progress here. Martinez behind him is up an astonishing 10 spaces in this race.
Our biggest mover so far as we jump back to this battle of Villiers-Kynen, Freckleton, and Gernot-Frische. Looks like Philip's not done here in turn number 1 as well. He's going to get the pass done on Martinez, and I actually think it was Gabri that was trying to get the pass done on Philip there in turn number 1, so I take back what I said, and then you see Martinez just kind of struggle with those rear tires. You were mentioning it was Rodriguez earlier, kind of squirming around on those rear tires. Remember, we're only working lap number 10, about a third of the way through this race. The more you abuse them now, the less they're going to be there for you later.
Yeah, the more you use them, the less you'll have to use later, so you're going to have to be a little bit conservative on the tyres. Finally, here comes Dylan Freckleton inside of 9, and that will be a corner that Villiers-Kynen is scared about. Very aggressive into the corner, trying to pinch him off on the exit of 10. He's got the inside at turn 11, blocks him up, and Dylan Freckleton gets his pass. Now it's Jarno Fritzsche's turn to try and line this one up for P6. Villiakainen is a lame duck out there at the moment, and I think for every other driver here, Joey, it's hunting season.
Absolutely, and Gernot Fritzsche was incredibly patient through the hairpin. He pretty much came to a stop like he's in a drive-through window to not run over the back of Kimmo Villiakainen as him and Freckleton were kind of sorting it all out. But I expect this red and blue car of Fritzsche to get by Villiakainen probably on the next significant straightaway on the back straightaway.
Yeah, and that next significant straight, of course, is that run along East Seaside Way. You pass the Expo Centre on the right-hand side, and the bridge over towards that goes over the top of the circuit, and then you can start running yourself over towards that Firestone turn where it becomes crucial. In fact, he'll get the run immediately coming off the exit here. Fritzsche will now have the chance to look, moves over right-hand side of the circuit. How brave does he dare be? Well, he's got it done pretty much before the corner. I think Villiakainen knew that he was a man beaten out there at the moment, and he knows that he's got Tyler Green just behind him now, so it's next up on the train, and each and every lap he just looks behind and realizes at what point is my pace going to go. He did a 1:14 on that last lap. I'm looking down the order, and I don't think there's anybody out there at the moment on the leading lap who's doing worse than Kimmo Villiakainen.
It's frustrating, right? As we saw Hisada make the move on Rodriguez in turn number 1. So Togo gets back up into third place where he was a little while ago before he gave up all those positions after kind of side-smacking Kimmo Villiakainen there. What was that, Jake?
Reutenbeek's out, and I think Hans Sommer was very much close to it. So Reutenbeek's grabbed the wall, and there you go. 1, 2, 3, up and over you want, stacking them up like Jenga blocks, ready for another go.
I'm surprised that you see Hans Sommer still trying to get going. He was just grabbing a gear and still continuing on as now Tyler Green is lined up behind Kimmo Villiakainen. What happened there coming out of the fountain turn? Just those rear tires are so gosh dang wide. I'm surprised it hasn't happened coming out of the hairpin yet.
Jack David Spickett then in 13th position on the right-hand side of your screen has been making good moves. Tyler Green lining up for what he wants to. That's Peter Konechny that JDS has gone through, and that puts him now plus 17 on the day here, JDS. But as things go, Tyler Green now trying to use the long front stretch as a place to attack. We go back to Jack David Spickett here, trying to charge his way through from the non-qualifying effort. To make 17 places around here does sometimes need a little bit of fortune. He's certainly found that over the course of his racing so far.
What Jack David Spickett can do now with a little bit of clean air. You had mentioned how much he's moved up forward, plus 17, our biggest mover of the day. Unfortunately, the only thing that Jack has not going for him right now is look at all this clean racetrack. He's got about 5, maybe 6 seconds he's got to kind of go up and catch up to Martinez up the road.
But he's a former champion here in the Lotus 79, so if anybody can, it's him to go and really charge and use that pace. Green trying to go around the outside of Villiakainen, very close to the tyre barriers there, entering Seaside Avenue, but now he gets the launch. Right-hand side, a tale as old as time, a song as old as rhyme, a place that's made again. Tyler Green finding beauty there against what is a beast of a car at the moment here for Kimmo Villiakainen, and look at how much it's struggling here as Hisada sets the fastest lap of the race. Now he's brought the next group in. Kranafussel wants through, so too Mosquera, Kunhardt, and Gabriel Martinez.
They're just all lining up behind that wounded car. And you know, Kimmo, if he's in virtual reality, he's probably looking out the right side every single straightaway saying, oh man, there's literally not a piece of my car over here. This is why I'm so gosh dang slow. It's frustrating as a driver, especially when you were sitting up in, what, second or third place like he was, and now just all of a sudden doesn't have any sort of pace out there.
No, it's so frustrating for a driver to know you've got to limp a car home around, but it is one of those underrated characteristics here of sim racers. Big lunge, Kranafuss down the inside of turn 6, now looking to gear this one back up the other way here and go around the outside to get it sorted. Villiakainen gives him just enough room, but power again is going to be the issue. Kranafuss on the straight, he's going to have to go the long way around. Villiakainen's going to fight him for it here as they hit the brakes into turn 9, and now look at this, brilliant stuff on the move. Daniel Kranafuss had to work hard for that one.
I just can't say enough about this community. Oh, there's the contact between Vilikainen and Granifus, and I got to put that a little bit on Daniel because he was just so far out wide. It's going to be Javier Mascara in that rouge-colored car that gets 2 for 1 on the front straightaway here, and let's see what Kimmo Vilikainen's going to do. This is all going to erupt in turn number 1. Granifus on the inside, Mascara on the outside. Granifus somehow hangs on to it, and no, he's in the wall.
He's in the wall. Mascara had to abandon ship, so somehow Villiakainen's come out smelling of roses from that. Martinez threw on Kuhnhardt, but that was a big, scary moment from all of those drivers involved. You've got the look here on board with Gabri Martinez in 9th place, looking for 8th. He started on the 11th row of the grid. The pop-up car is now looking for everything he can. It's a comic book superhero story that he's looking for, and up against Villiakainen. He now searches round the outside again, doesn't work. Now here comes Kuhnhardt's charge, big defense.
Let's see what happens down Seaside Way here. I think Vilikainen's not going to get attacked in the brake zone, but oh my goodness, Daniel Granifus is very confident on that brake pedal there. I'm sorry, that was Philip Kuhnhardt in the red car. I was getting all these red cars mixed up here, but the drive off of the hairpin Martinez really slips up, and there goes Vilikainen into pit lane. I wonder if he had a meatball. Leaves it a side-by-side drag race.
That final contact was enough to tip it over to say you got too much damage, you got to come in and get required repairs. And now here comes the chance. Martinez then down on the inside. Philip Kuhnhardt can't do anything to get that move. Granifus sits behind and watches as he goes aggressive on the brakes through the fountain. But behind that, Peter Konechny has got himself a bucket load of drivers. That's Daniel Gallis finding himself the way through. And behind that, Oberslack. Contacts, they go through, and into the grass goes Olivier Verhagen as he has to try and avoid everything there. And to say he's smelling of roses, well, he's tasting them.
Oh my goodness, and then I think that was Kevin Parrish trying to make a very opportunistic move. You see Olivier just bounce over those apex curbs. You never want to do that, and there's another big lunge from Kevin down the inside and no contact made. I just want to point something out that how many lunges have we seen and no really door banging or side pod banging? Yeah, there's been a little bit of contact, but nothing malicious, and there have been some crazy aggressive moves.
Oh, they have been. They've had to try and be aggressive in the way that they've constructed these passes, because when you put these cars, which has so much power, Joey, on a circuit like this, surely the only thing you can do is throw it up the inside and hope it sticks.
I think that's one of the great parts about this community, though, is that they're not out here every single week to put somebody in a wall or just to grab that position. They want to have good racing. They want to have side-by-side racing. I'm so happy that iRacing has put the new tires on this thing. It's really made these drivers happy with how the cars perform and the raceability aspect of them. Here we are at Long Beach. Yeah, we've had a handful of retirements, but some fantastic pack racing.
It'll be 12 laps to go at the line for Pauli Partanen, who is now up to a 4.5-second lead, but that gap for second is now starting to close. It's now 1.4, now closing 1.3 for Togo Hisada, who is lighting the timing sheets up purple to try and chase. Not that time, though, on a 1:10.9, but on that last lap, another 0.4 off of Mikko Leno here. Leno is under pressure for that second position, and Togo Hisada is just reeling in the big fish as if he's sitting down at the dockside.
About a half a second per lap is what Togo has taken out of Leno, as Olivier still has got his hands full back here. That's Oberslack now going to get to drivers right here. He saw Verhagen just get a little bit wide into the brake zone, and oh my goodness, this could spell trouble. A little bit of contact there at the apex, but both of them made it through the other side.
Verhagen tried to shut the door, but Oberslack had already snuck through. He stuck his foot in and said, no, come in, I want to have a chat with you. And that chat was, give me that position and you will oblige. So the move being made, and as lovely as that, it was easy. Kevin Parrish having a box seat to that battle going on between the Ligier and the Ensign, which is going out there at the moment in the team's championship. So they're really having to scrap with whatever they can get their hands on here at this moment, and this is all for what is 13th, or 14th, 15th, 16th. It shows you every position is fought hard for here with the Lotus 79s.
Jake, we've had a major involvement at the front. Second place, Mikko Leno jumped over that apex curb, ended up in the wall, and look at that. Togo Hisada came through and actually made contact with the left side. I don't see any significant damage on Hisada's car, but our second-place runner is now in the pits.
Well, that is huge, and Mikko Leno was being put a little bit under pressure time and time again, and round went Mikko Leno into the wall, and Togo Hisada, you just simply put, had to try and get out of the way, and he got away with minimal contact at that scenario. Oberslack still continuing in his battle a little bit further down, and they will duel along the front stretch here. Oberslack losing out in the straight line battle to Olivier Verhagen, but on the brakes, is it going to be better here from the Tissot Ensign, which is down on the inside? It is. So all of that power doesn't mean anything if you can't turn in.
You'd mentioned typically high downforce setups used here at Long Beach as Jack David Spickett picks up another place here up into 9th. Our biggest mover now up 21 positions, but you know what? Gabriel Martinez is up the road as well, plus 15. So a couple really big movers inside the top 10 already.
And they've kept the pace up and kept themselves out of trouble. Massive wiggle on the exit, though, is not going to help Oberslack out, but Verhagen goes too deep, and suddenly Kevin Parrish sneaks his way down the inside onto EC side. And now here comes the look again with 10 laps to go. The chance to dive down the inside. Verhagen is so late on the brakes, but there comes the understeer because he can't actually get the turn through the corner. So Parrish confirms that move. And that's a car off in front. That's Alejandro Diaz, the lap traffic.
You know what? Great job to not pull it into the racing line, though. He let this kind of 3 or 4 pack go by and then re-entered the racetrack at a nice, safe point. So props to that driver right here as we jump up. This is Togo Hisada now coming off a Seaside Way. He's trying to chase down Pauli Parchinen, who we really haven't mentioned much at all. He's just been in perfect management control out front, 6.5 seconds in front of Togo Hisada right now. But now that Togo's got clean air, he's back to being the fastest race car on the track.
Well, being the fastest, that's a 1:10.6. He really put his head down on that lap, and he took a full 0.8 of a second as the car spun at turn 1. That's Barry West that he's going to encounter. Hi, Barry. Bye, Barry. You're now a lap down, mate. So Barry West then finding troubles at the opening section. But looking here with Togo Hisada, this is as old school as it gets. He likes to throw the car in. He likes a really loose car, a car that he can ply and get turning through all of these corners. This is the sort of challenge where I think Togo Hisada is at his best, given the most difficult conditions possible.
100%. And I think that given his background in the Lotus 49s, he's a little bit more comfortable with the car moving around a lot. And this is more like a slot car where it's just connected to the road with the high downforce. So what I like seeing as we get the replay of Barry West on the screen, just overshot the brake zone there. Cool little half spin to get it pointed the right way. Togo Hisada's progression as a driver, right? He used to kind of hang out 5th, 7th place in these Lotus 79s. And here he is up hunting down Pauli Parchinen, one of the best in the 79s, and chasing down a race win.
Yeah, Verhagen staying again resolute on the back of Jakob Oberslack, trying to find any sort of way he can go by. Oh, Oberslack sees behind him Verhagen tagging the wall. It's so easy to do when you go out of turn number 5. It's off camber, into the tyres he goes, and I think he just about got away with it. Parrish looking everywhere on Konechny, trying to get it sorted, and he goes round.
Oh, so unfortunate. There's one car that was collected. I think that was Oberslack that went through that kind of hit him on the way by. Hopefully no damage on that car. Kevin Parrish gets going again, but loses all of that track position.
Well, track position, time, you name it. That's not what you need to be losing out there on track. There is Daniel Gallis looking to chase down Javier Mosquera. This for 11th position right now. And for the moment here on the brakes, it's a case of where are you going to be looking? Where is that next opportunity going to come? And right now, it's a case of Mosquera looking behind. The C squad aren't going to help you out too much here, Javier. He's seeing behind just how close a running this is going to be from Daniel Gallis. He took a 10th on that last lap, so he's been there for a little bit.
As we watch this battle, I'm just going to kind of keep us posted out front because it's down to 5.5 seconds between first and second. So still nowhere close in terms of the battle, but you look at 7 to go. You do the math. Togo Hisada is taking out big enough chunks to catch Pauli Parchinen by the end. It's just a matter of if he's got enough time to make a move.
I'd also argue, how's the traffic going to play for Pauli,
right?
and going to play for Togo, because they are going to find drivers now that are going to be a lap down, 2 laps down. They're going to have to navigate by. Gallus through the final corner then, looking to attack back again onto East Shoreline Drive and have this long launch across the port side here to go and make that move. But I don't think he's in anywhere near close enough of position compared to Mosquera, who's just able to get the launch along the straight, has all of the confidence, and then, well, if you're not close enough then through the long straight, where are you going to make this pass on the circuit? You're reliant on mistakes. He can close right up on the brakes, but it's no good. He can't make the pass at the fountain.
You got to be extra aggressive. Remember, we were talking about how crazy aggressive some of these moves were earlier, and just as the race goes on, those aggressive moves get more and more difficult, right? Because the tires don't want to give you all of that grip. As a driver, you have to manage that level, and Mosquera really loose there. This could be the open door that Daniel Gallus is looking for. He's down to the inside. Mosquera really deep again and makes contact with that tire bundle. Daniel Gallus is handed 11th place.
Yeah, and he's done very well. Keep an eye on 4th as well, because Dylan Freckleton and Jono Freacher have been bottled up behind the likes of John Pethick, for example, and now they're trying to move themselves into a place where they can deal with their battles and they can scrap. Jono up 2, Dylan up 2, very evenly matched. It's TVR versus Parmalat at the moment. Oh, Dylan Freckleton, you cannot get much closer. That was as street racing line as it gets, just brushing the wall.
And if you're looking for a driver that is pretty much unfazable, look at that red and blue number 1 that is hunting down Dylan Freckleton right here. Freesia, obviously one of the best, probably the most wins ever in the 79. I don't think anybody's going to get up there and actually touch him with that, but it's always scary to see him in the rearview mirror. You know it's going to be consistency till the end of this race.
Well, if Pali Partanen wins every race for the next 5 years, I think he's got half a chance. Let's say
right.
It's that sort of way. And Jono Freacher having a massive slide as he goes through. But this is a Jono Freacher who was simply put untouchable for a span of years, of about 4 years between 2016 and 2019. Nobody could touch him in terms of pace.
It was unbelievable how fast he is, and he's admitted over the last handful of years or few years hasn't kind of put in the practice time. He does this more as an enjoyable part of sim racing versus the true get in there and practice every single day to get those competitive results. But you see how good he still is. He's still chasing down Dylan, but Dylan's a little bit of a tough customer right now, a tough cookie to crack.
He is a tough cookie. There's your race leader, Pali Partanen. Car in front of him is Alejandro Diaz, and he's going to get no love. Down at the hairpin here, he has to really get out of it, and that gap of 4.5 is all of a sudden down to 3.6 seconds as he will get the clearance on and along the run. Hisada a 1:10.5 on that last lap compared to the 11.5 of Pali Partanen. Sorry, a 10.6 from Hisada. So he is really racking these points back. 3.7, 4 laps to go. He needs more laps like this if he wants to win this one. Anything short of 0.9 of a second a lap, and Pali Partanen's got enough of a gap to survive. But when that clock comes down and you look down and that gap starts to shrink, it does things to you as a driver. Did it do that for you, Joey, in your racing career?
I'm unfazed, dude. I'm completely unfazed out there. Honestly, that's part of being a racing driver. You have to separate yourself from the moment. I always kind of referred to as putting yourself in the third person, right? You're sitting there driving the race car, and it's so easy to get worked up and anxious. You actually kind of have to remove yourself from that situation and analyze what's going on for the betterment of the race. And I do want to say that Togo Asada officially has the proverbial horns out. Jake, you see that last lap time? A 1:10 point what? 666.
Yeah, he is absolutely fine. Thanks for the no-sell, by the way, buddy. Jono Freacher continuing on out there, hoping that Dylan Freckleton will crack and make a mistake. He goes into the mirrors, trying to see if he can force Freckleton off his line in any way, shape, or form. Nowhere near close enough to make a move here, Joey, but he's going to the Sim Racer's handbook on how to make a pass.
He just got to get in there and try to force something out of Dylan Freckleton directly in front of him, but Dylan is just doing a great job to hit every single mark, hit every single braking zone, and then, of course, put the power down coming out of these oh-so-crucial corners to keep that red number 1 at an arm's length distance so he can't make that pass.
Yeah, and that's the issue. Can't get close enough to have even an attempt. You've got to be so switched on to any opportunity that's there, and going through 4 over past the aquarium, turn 5 over the top, and then hoping that there's more to be had as you look to make that drive here along the west side of the shoreline over in towards turn numbers 6 and 7. You know, Gernot Fritsch has stared down this style of move over and over and over again, but the issue he's got is he's tired of reading TVR in the mirrors or just in front of him. He'll know that the only way he's going to make a move is if he gets close enough. And with the dirty air, this car being one of the first to be important with aerodynamics and ground effect, it's very tough to make a pass.
I think the only good thing about hanging out behind Dylan Freckleton is he usually has some Phil Collins blasting out of that car. So maybe Fritsch is enjoying the tunes, but yeah, extremely frustrating. And they're coming up 2 laps to go for these drivers. I will say about Fritsch, though, he's not going to force anything out there. If it's not there to kind of make the pass attempt happen, he is not going to put Freckleton in a wall.
Joey, with a lap and a half to go, Partonen's got to clear Parrish, Konechny, and Jakub Oberslak.
I was noticing that, and he's actually directly behind one of the cars right now, so he has got a lot of traffic directly in front of him, and there you see Togo Hesada call it about 30 car lengths behind and a handful of countersteer from Pauli Partonen. You know he's feeling it. I think this was a smart move. Set him up down the front straightaway. Don't try to force anything into that hairpin, but 1 lap remaining. Can Pauli hang on?
Well, Kevin Parrish might just have enough pace to keep that going. An 11.4 from him on that last lap. Togo Hesada, a 10.5 fastest lap at the race. It's 2.5 seconds. It's going to have to take a mistake from one of these 3, Oberslak, Konechny, and Parrish, to really hurt Pauli Partonen, who'll be happy just to sit behind as he goes through the fountain and looks through each of these corners, and he knows that it's just a ticking time bomb with half a lap to go. Wide in front of him goes Konechny. Remember, this is a fight for position, so Kevin Parrish has every right to go out there and go side by side. This is the last thing that you want. Now, look at Pauli. He's going to try and jump through on Peter Konechny, and he's going to manage it there, which is not what Togo Hesada wanted to see, because now he's got to clear traffic and hope there's a mistake. This is perfect driving from Pauli Partonen. Massive kick and wiggle as he goes through, trying to indicate, I want to go through, but he's not getting any love here from Kevin Parrish. 3 corners away, huge slide through turn 9, and hold as well as you can. Pauli Partonen now rounds himself through the final corner. Just be careful on the throttle, Pauli, and that is how you manage a race from start to finish. Wonderfully done. Pauli Partonen wins at Long Beach.
Rightfully deserved, executed perfectly in terms of the management out front. I think drive of the race, though, goes to Togo Hesada. You see the Ferraman machine of JD Rodriguez here cross and round out the podium in 3rd place. But remember, Togo was, 7.5 seconds back at one point to hunt down Pauli for the lead, and even gave back a few positions after making a mistake out there. I think Togo can look back at this one and say, what if?
It's a huge what if for him. He got stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time, proved he had the pace all day long, but just got caught up with everybody left, right, and centre. What a drive by Gabriel Martinez, by the way. 22nd over to 7th, a gain of 15 and a gain of 21 for Jack David Spickett over the line. Some brilliant finishes then coming through as we see the last of the drivers making their way to the line. Kevin Parrish will be that last driver coming through in 14th position. Javi Mosquera making his run through in the number 12 car, P12. You always try and match your number in iRacing, and he's managed that. Oberslak there in 13th, able to stave off Kevin Parrish, and we will now get confirmation of result here from Long Beach to close the season out here with the Global Sim Racing Channel, and it is Pauli Partonen who has got the result that he wants. 34 minutes, 32 seconds. He wins by a margin of 1.2 over Togo Hesada, with JD Rodriguez rounding out your podium in 3rd. It's then Dylan Freckleton and Gernot Fritsch 4th and 5th, with Tyler Green in 6th position. Your 2 big gainers are 7th and 9th, Gabriel Martinez and Jack David Spickett. The 8th place of Philip Kuhnhardt is surely enough for him to secure the F2 Championship title. Daniel Kranafus will round out your top 10.
Then in 11th place is Daniel Gallus. Javier Mosquera is going to be finishing in 12th place back here, with Jacob Oberslak in 13th. Kevin Parrish finishing in 14th, with Peter Konechny in 15th. Keith Herner in 16th. Barry West, the big cat, a nice race to finish in 17th. Alejandro Diaz, 18th. Joe Pethick back here in 19th. And Olivier Verhagen slips back to 20th.
Yeah, over the page then, it's a very tough order back there, as these are the drivers who are littered with retirements. Alexander Matei, Kimmo Villiakainen did finish, but 4 laps down. Hans Sommer and Mikko Leino having that big issue from second. Dave Reutenbeek in trouble, as well as Yanni Lehmann, Shadi Ahmad, the likes of Logan Edwards, Alex Marsh-King, and Dan Decker there in 30th. The last car in this race finding troubles had the issue with Dan Decker, and that was Nick Thyssen, who found himself wrong place, wrong time, not getting anything that he wanted out of today. We are going to get the chance, though, to talk to some of our drivers. Joey Atterbury has walked down to the podium, and he's found himself with your race winner, Pauli Partanen.
Pauli, congratulations on another race win to close out this season. How does it feel?
It actually feels super good. I haven't had too many wins this season. I think this was third one, and the last 2 races have been a struggle when I had damage on both races, so I was really hoping to win those, but yeah, you cannot win always, so this win feels good, super good.
Now, how was it with Togo Hisada hunting you down? It seems like he was taking 3/4 of a second out per lap on you. Were you just kind of hanging out managing it, or were you worried about him?
Well, I was not really that worried, because the difference was so big that I just wanted to make a safe race and make no mistakes, and I did what I had to do, no mistakes and safe race, so that's all I needed. But yeah, Togo was still faster. I knew it from the previous race that he has more pace than me, so I knew that he will hunt me easily, but I was lucky that I had the difference to him, so didn't really have to push on any time of the race.
Now, Pauli, the season is officially done, and you guys have grown this Lotus 79 huge in terms of entry fields competitiveness. The floor is yours. Is there anything you want to say or look forward to in terms of next seasons, or just say thank you?
Well, this season, first of all, has been one of the best Lotus 79 seasons ever. I think I did almost all races just because I was so happy to see all the new drivers on the field, and like in this race, when you check the top 10 results, there are a lot of names that I haven't ever heard, so that makes me super happy, and hopefully all the guys who have done this race will race also next season. We have super good races coming again, so see you on the next season grid.
I want to echo what Pauli said. It is just such a special group here with the Lotus 79s. They hand out the fast setups. They try to get everybody competitive, so if you're interested, definitely come join this community. Thank you so much, Pauli, for everything that you did, and congrats on today's win.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Jake, that was Pauli Partanen driving that white and blue number 2 car today.
Yes, I've had a chance to pull a driver up into the commentary box with me, and that is Jarno Frietscher, who found himself overall 5th position today. Jarno started 7th, finished 5th, a very respectable performance from you gaining the places, but a day in which only 14 cars finished on the lead lap. Was just prioritising the finish today the most important thing?
In the end, it was. I didn't expect much from this week because I don't like this track, and for some reason I'm never quick here. Also don't have much experience here, so P5 in the top split today is more than I could have wished for, and of course I was driving for a good result because I still was not sure about the team championship, so I was going for that, and I think we did it with that result, especially due to bad luck of Mikko. Who crashed out. So congrats to my teammate Russ Hamilton. Yeah, good season.
A very good season for you, and you're starting to put those building blocks back together again, it looks like. We've seen you up nearer the pointy end now on more and more races. Do you feel like you're finding that there is still pace there is still that ability to go out there and challenge, but knowing just how quick the drivers were this season with Pauli, with Andreas Henkel, with the whole host of names that are coming through, do you think this is the best possible time for a series like this, knowing how long you've been here and how much you've been a pillar of this community?
Yeah, for sure. I think that must have been the most competitive season of the Lotus 79 in history. I can't imagine it can be or it could have been that competitive right in the beginning when iRacing was pretty new. And I've been here for a long time. I can't remember huge grids like this and so much talent concentrated in the top split races. So huge achievement by Andreas for winning the championship, and also for Pauli to make it really tight all season long. And there are a lot of other names that I can't mention right now that contribute to the success of this season.
So how much are you looking forward to not only the next season of this, but the start of the year-long championship that iRacing's putting together of the Tour?
To be honest, I haven't really followed that, so I don't know the details on when the races are. So yeah, not sure if I can really participate a lot. Maybe one and a couple more races if I have time for it. So yeah, basically looking forward to next season in the Lotus 79 in the official series. So yeah, I'm also gonna miss a couple of weeks, so I won't be that close to the top as I've been this season. So yeah, whatever.
Well, that is sometimes the way it goes. Jarno Fritzsche there joining us, then 5th place overall and having a lot of fun there. I'm going to just jump in here and get a chance to talk to Togo Hisada pretty quickly, because I always love having a chat with Togo. I think he's an absolutely fantastic driver. Togo, kanata kute mo shori ni chikazuku koto ga dekiru. Miko to JD to Kimu no mondai ga furupesu o samatageta to Mocha?
Yeah. In the Kimo's incident, I just a little too deep in on the brake, and the slide. Just on the apex, the press came to the wall, so that was 100% my fault. So I get the position back to him and pass him again, and try to catch up the front guys, and then the Miko spun on the turn 5, some laps, and I couldn't avoid it, and I had a rear wheel damage after that. So the car's characteristic is just completely loose, but at the same time, the car is really quick. Started the turn really quick, a little bit too loose, but the time is very good. So just control it under the. I'm happy to manage it to take a second place, but I want to say sorry to Kimo for the incident, because that was my 100% my fault.
Well, sometimes it happens. I've got my producer in my ear actually asking what I asked. So it was about as close as you can get to winning without winning. And did you think that the issues with Miko, JD and Kimo kept you from full pace? But talk us through that issue with Kimo Villiakainen, because it's a very tough place here, this circuit Long Beach, to make a pass. Did you feel like you just had to throw it down the inside and hope it stuck?
Oh, the what?
The pass.
Yeah, just getting too deep, and my car speed is too high, and the rear stride, and then I'm pushing wide. Yep.
So what are you looking forward to then, Togo, with next season? Because you've been trying to build together. I know that you've got a lot of study that you deal with. So these Sundays, which are effectively Monday morning for you, are going to be really tough to commit to. So what are you looking at in terms of your next 3 months?
Yeah, just I'm having a spring vacation from the university until the beginning of the April. So the first few weeks I can able to I will be able to show up this week. But after that I'm not sure about it, because my classroom schedule is not I cannot find any stick schedule yet. So just wait for the schedule show up, and then decided to keep it racing or stop it, or I wasn't sure. But fortunately I first 3 or 4 weeks I will be able to race.
Well, it's good news that we'll see you for 3 or 4 weeks, and I suppose we all hope here at the Global SimRacing Channel that you have an easy Monday morning schedule so that you can come here and race a little bit more with us. Togo Hosada there joining us, picking up a second place position here today. Joey, I believe you just very quickly caught yourself with Dylan Freckleton.
Yeah, Dylan, congratulations on the top 5 run today.
Thanks. Yeah, taken all season for me to get a decent result, but yeah, nice to get one in the end.
It was a good race from you, and you were able to hold off Freesia behind you. What was that pressure like?
He was getting closer towards the end, yeah. I had my eye on my mirrors last few laps. Great thing about racing in this series, though, is people like going, they're not going to do anything stupid. So you can have kind of that respectful but hard racing, and that's what's really fun about this series. It's why I keep going back to it, and it's great to see so many new names, returning names that have come back this season, and it's meant there's been some really fantastic racing.
Well, and talking about that just real quick, you're one of the stalwarts here in the 79s. Are we going to expect you back next season?
Yeah, certainly. It's, like I say, nice to get a good result finally for this season, and yeah, we'll see how we go in a couple of weeks' time and on from there.
Well, congratulations on the top 5, and we look forward to seeing you here in a couple weeks, Dylan.
Thank you.
That was Mr. Freckleton coming home with a 4th place finish today.
Yeah, and a very, very good 4th place finish for him. But that is not just going to call time on this race here from Long Beach, but also on the season here with your classic Lotus Grand Prix. It's always a pleasure to bring this show over to you, and it couldn't be done without the team here today. And, of course, over the course of the season from Joey Atterbury, Christian Deploy, Daniel Costello, and from Dougie Beard. In terms of next time, we've still got racing that will be coming up on the horizon, but it might be a little bit sparse because we're hitting week 13 next week. But of course, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be looking to jump back in with the next bit of amazing sim racing action that's going to be coming to you, of course, with us at the Global Sim Racing Channel. You do not want to miss it. So do all the YouTube things, do the like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, everything that you need to do to make that happen. But from what is a fantastic bit of driving, it shows that if you're bottled up here at Long Beach and you let yourself loose and try and chase, you're not going to get all of the chances in the world to make that reality. You do have to try and pace yourself, and I think Pally Partonen proved that perfectly here today. He paced himself and knew that he had just enough gap at just the right time. A victory for him, and he'll look to take that advantage over into a brand new season of the Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series.